I do not want to ask you about your vice presidential pick. You said it would be a Democrat. Do you have anybody in mind? I know you said you don't like the pre-announcements. President Biden did say he would pick a woman. Do you have any commitments and anyone in mind?
No, I will pick a person who I believe is best suited to lead the country should they need to before my term would be over, and who would be well positioned to do so in the future when I would term out. And that is how I believe every single leader in this country should be acting. Of course, I will assess everybody, and it will be a Democrat. It will be a person of integrity, of competency, of innovation, and someone who is not going to be beholden to this political industrial complex that has compromised, in my estimation, the very best people in Washington who come with integrity and then get eaten up by this machine of silence and of compromise as it relates to putting politics before people. And that's exactly the kind of person I will seek. And I promise you, it will be someone extraordinary. And that's, I believe, the measure of success and should be the measure of how we select anybody in positions of important authority.
What do you think of the current Vice President, Kamala Harris? Would she be someone on your radar?
Well, this is a perfect example of what I'm trying to explain to America right now. It is not my decision, nor is it my responsibility for the circumstances in which President Biden and Vice President Harris find themselves. My opinion is not what matters. What matters is the president has historically low approval numbers, and Vice President Harris has even lower approval numbers. Now, I've not yet seen a poll that shows her doing better than President Biden, and every poll I'm seeing right now on President Biden shows him losing to Donald Trump. So, I'm a man who believes in data, who believes in truth, who believes in the numbers. I do not always believe politicians because they say what helps them, not what helps the country. And the fact of the matter is Vice President Harris and President Biden are deeply underwater as it relates to the United States electorate. That is just the truth. And I'm only here because I believe two things. They will lose to former President Trump, and we need a new generation in leadership because the current generation is simply not meeting the moment. Those are my contentions. I think voters are speaking pretty loudly and clearly about what they feel. That's what matters. But like I said, I will consider everybody of competency, of integrity, of experience, and the ability to get out of the political games and start getting into the principled games of solving problems. And the fact of the matter is, right now in Washington, there are fewer and fewer of those people that I see with the courage and the integrity to do what I'm talking about.
Congressman, have you talked to President Biden since you announced?
I have tried twice. I've called the White House twice to speak with him as a courtesy call to let him know about my intentions. Sadly, he did not take the call, which is his prerogative, of course. But I got to tell you, in the past, I've had a fine relationship with President Biden. I've hosted him in my home. I've flown with him on Air Force One and had an extraordinary experience and conversation with him. But it disappoints me that, again, we live in an era where somehow the integrity and courtesy of conversation seems to be going by the wayside. Like I said, I respect him. This is not about disrespecting President Biden. This is actually about the opposite. It's about protecting his legacy, preserving his extraordinary service in the White House, because I'm afraid if he runs again and loses, which I think he will, and all the numbers are indicating the same, is this extraordinary legacy and moment in time will have been wasted. His legacy will be one of losing to the worst man in the history of the United States, and all the great good he did will be forgotten. And I want to help protect that legacy, and that's why I'm running. But if I do not succeed, if I'm not well positioned after March 5th to continue my campaign, which I think we're going to be doing just great by then. But if not, I will wrap it up with grace. I will support whomever is best positioned to defeat Donald Trump, whether that is President Biden or somebody else who might enter the race as well to offer the alternatives that Americans are clearly and loudly saying they want.